Hello everybody, this is Lara from Pure Elliott Wave with your Monday to Friday update for Bitcoin and Ethereum. I was not able to get analysis done for you yesterday. I'm travelling through Portugal back down to the bottom of Spain, then over to Morocco, so I'm really hectic for the next couple of weeks or so. So I won't be able to give you everyday analysis, but here I am today. Quickly, technicals on the daily for Bitcoin. It's back within this rectangle pattern, overall moving sideways. It finished an upward swing, which fell a little bit short of support of this slightly downward sloping channel, which I've drawn from the all-time high on the 14th of March to sit across the high on the 7th of June, and then I placed a parallel copy down on the 1st of May. So that's how I've drawn that channel on a semi-log scale. We had swings from resistance to support, to resistance, overshot of support, back in the rectangle. I expect overall an upward swing toward resistance, 71,500 to 73,100, and I expect the probability of an upward breakout next time price gets up there is fairly high, not certain. In the first instance, I'll be looking for resistance again about the upper edge of this channel. We'll see how price behaves when it gets up there. If we see a close above 73,100, I will then wait for 2 or 3 green daily candlesticks up and away to filter out the potential of a false upward breakout before I have confidence that the rectangle is finally over and we've finally got a breakout. The longer price continues sideways, the closer the breakout will be. It will break out eventually, either upward or downward, and odds are I expect it's most likely to be upward. The last low was found with a very strong increase in volume and range as we saw a selling climax on the 4th of August. That's pretty common for the end of pullbacks or consolidations and bull market rallies, but it also happens at interim lows within bear markets. It's impossible to tell which of those two scenarios this is indicating until we get a breakout from the rectangle. There's a weak bullish signal from on-balance volume as it breaks above this weak short-lived yellow resistance line, so that suggests more upward movement, but it's a pretty weak signal, so don't read too much into that. ADX is declining. There's no clear trend indicated at the daily time frame. At the low for the 4th of August, RSI reached oversold. It doesn't tend to do that commonly within consolidations or pullbacks in larger bullish runs, and so if that's what this is, it's highly likely that it's finally complete here. Now, I thought it was finally complete at the low for the 5th of July, but we did make a lower low, and now we've got a slightly longer term bullish divergence. It's possible we could make another low and we could get double bullish divergence before the low is finally found, but because this consolidation is so mature now, I think the breakout's going to come much sooner than later. And this time there's also bullish divergence between price and money flow index, so between both RSI and money flow adds a little bit more weight to the possibility that that last low is likely to remain intact. ATR continues to increase as price is slowly moving higher. I expect we're going to continue upward toward resistance. I expect an upward breakout when price gets there is more likely than not. I want to see a close above 73,100 and 2 or 3 days up and away to have real confidence that the rectangle is finally over and we're on the way up. Let's have a quick look at all my wave counts for XRP today. I'm going to have to do this quickly because I've got to leave and get back on the road really soon, so I'm running out of time. From this low to this high, this looks like a really good 5-wave impulse. Now, I know 3 looks like a 3-wave structure, but it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 when you look at it at a lower time frame. The 4th wave is brief and shallow. The 2nd wave is deeper and more time consuming. Very common behavior for a cryptocurrency, and that's because the end of the 3rd wave ends with strength. The 5th wave to end this 3rd wave impulse at lower time frames is the strongest portion of primary wave 3, and that strong 5th wave pulls the little 4th wave that comes just before it up, forcing it to be more brief and shallow. And that tendency gives impulses a 3-wave look for cryptocurrencies. I'm used to seeing that in commodities. It took me a couple of years to wrap my head around that with gold, and I see it to an even greater degree in cryptocurrencies. Following 5 steps forward lasting 3 years, here is 3 steps back lasting 2 years. 3 years, 2 years gives really good proportion. Cycle 2 subdivides beautifully as a double zigzag, W, X, Y. Where 2 ends, 3 begins, it may only subdivide as an impulse. Within cycle wave 1, primary 3 was 14.72 times the length of primary wave 1. If we see that same Fibonacci ratio between cycle 1 and 3, that would give us a target of $40.67 for cycle 3. I'm using the same target for primary 3, giving us a target of $28.84. Cycle 3 and primary 3 may only subdivide as impulses. Within cycle 3 may have primary 1, primary 2, primary 3 underway with intermediate 1 and 2 now complete. Let's have a quick look at the daily for intermediate 2, here complete at the low for the 5th of July. From this low to this high, this subdivides beautifully as a 5-wave impulse. From this high to this low, we have an expanded flat A, B, C. C moved substantially beyond the end of A, and minute 2 did not move beyond the start of 1. This is what I expected, a sharp downward spike. I thought it was going to be more shallow. It was deeper than I expected, but I needed it to move below 0.5404 so that C moved beyond the end of A, avoiding a truncation. That's what happened. Quick sharp reversal, nice V bottom. Someone made a comment from this low to this high. They couldn't see a 5-wave structure. It absolutely will subdivide as a 5-wave structure. You've got a more time-consuming second wave, a more brief and shallow 4th wave up in here at lower time frames. No problem with that. Not sure from this high to this low if I want to label minute 2 complete. It could continue lower to the log function of the 0.618 Fibonacci ratio at 0.5034, or it could be complete down here as I've had it labelled. I want to see an increase in upward momentum, range, volume in order to have confidence that minute 2 is over. Let's look at alternates. At the monthly time frame, from this low to this high, I'm still seeing this as a 5-wave impulse, but instead of a first wave, it could be wave A within a zigzag. We could have a triangle, which could now be complete for wave B. The triangle could be complete and it's ended with an overshoot of the AC trend line. That's a really normal look for wave E. Most commonly they end with a little undershoot, but they can also end with overshoots. A lasted 26 months, B 13 months, C 19, D 8, and E 12 months. This triangle has good proportion. I would most likely label it complete. I've seen someone else labeling it incomplete with D to continue and then E to even begin. Now that's possible, but I think D would be too long lasting. The triangle also fits beautifully within the triangle trend lines. This low here was a test falling a little short of the AC trend line. Another test here. B tested the BD trend line. Price is at resistance at this trend line as well. Now if we get a full daily candlestick above and not touching this trend line, you can have a little bit more confidence that we're getting an upward breakout out of the triangle. If E continues any further, it may not move beyond the end of C below 0.2794. This wave count's still bullish, but the target's not nearly as optimistic as the first wave count. C would reach equality length with A at 3.139. This is not my wave count, this is a bearish wave count that one of the subscribers on the channel pointed me to. I'll have a look at this wave count with you just because it's the only bearish wave count I've seen, but I'm not going to give it any weight. I think it's got horrible proportion. This is the biggest problem. If cycle wave 1 impulse from this low to this high, I'm seeing this move the same for all wave counts. If this is a first wave and if we're still in a second wave correction, the biggest problem is the duration of wave 2 in comparison to wave 1. Wave 1 lasted 3.5 years. Wave 2 has already lasted just under 8 years, so a lot longer, more than twice the length of wave 1, and it's incomplete. It still needs the rest of primary wave C to complete. The proportion between 1 and 2 is horrible. Now that doesn't invalidate the wave count, it just means that it's got a lower probability. If 2 is a zigzag, then we have A, could be a 5-wave structure, that could fit. B, a double zigzag. C needs to be a 5-wave structure and must move beyond the end of A below 0.1138 to avoid a truncation. So I think I'm going to get rid of that target. That target's no good. So we just need to see C move beyond the end of A. I'm not going to give a target for this. If we see a new low below 0.2794, then this wave count would be indicated as potentially correct. Intermediate 2 may not move beyond the start of 1 above 1.965. It would be firmly invalidated above that high. Technicals on the daily for XRP. It found support about 46 cents, a sharp V bottom moving back above that strong resistance and support area at 55 cents. Backtest of support successful for the 11th of August, now moving up and away. Look for support now at 0.57. Look overall for price to continue higher to next to resistance again at 0.62. If it can break above that with a close above that point, then look for next resistance at 0.675. Up off the low, there was a very strong push from volume. Doesn't have a lot of follow through yet, a little bit of a pause, but the strong push from volume for the 7th of August strongly suggests that that last low is likely to remain intact. ADX tells us there's no clear trend for XRP at the daily time frame. The DX lines are whipsawing. A model of stochastics plus support and resistance would expect stochastics to continue to overbought and price to continue to resistance, and when they get there simultaneously, the upward swing may end. But if they get there and the upward trend is indicated, then I'll expect price to keep going up. That's it for me today with a quick update for you. I hope you're all having a lovely day.